Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm playing 3 check chess, where you win by putting your opponent in check 3 times. My goal is to win 3 games, and I will only play against higher rated opponents. Let's get started with game number 1. Alright, game number 1, we're paired with a 1777 rated opponent. Nice little rating. They say OMG in chat. Let me say hi. They say big fan, sir. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Good luck. Alright. Oh, and I accidentally didn't move in time. Okay, we'll try that one more time. I was gonna say there was a time where I would have said that e4 was a rare thing for me to play, but nowadays I just realized that all of these variants that require you to be a little more dynamic kind of beg for you to play these e4 sort of moves. So for example, on the second move, we've already lined up a check. We get pawn to e6 defending the idea, but it's in the spirit of e4 to be a little bit more dynamic. Let's go ahead and play knight to f3, go ahead and castle out of the way to complete our development. And if the opponent gives us the chance and sort of leaves their king in the middle of the board, I'm definitely going to go for that center break. We get bishop to c5, which is actually quite annoying because it threatens a check. But honestly, if my opponent wants to give up a piece for a check, I'm definitely going to take it. Okay, they do. We'll go ahead and take back with the rook. So now we're playing on the end, and this is a strategy that's pretty common in 3 check. We're playing on the end that is up material, but down a check. So it's kind of my job now for the rest of the game to make the argument that being up material this early in the game is enough to basically lead a devastating attack against the opponent's king. And my opponent's job is now to prove that they can get 2 more checks off on my king before I manage to put together that exact attack. We get pawn to b5. I'm not exactly sure what that aims to do. I think I can just oh, wait, can I take this? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can just take that. The only active piece at the moment is the knight, and if the knight moves, I can even give back the piece with check. Okay, we get bishop to b7. Let's go ahead and play d3, looking to develop the bishop with a tempo on the queen, and solidifying our e4 pawn, so this bishop just doesn't have as much scope. We get pawn to h6. Let's go ahead and continue with knight to c3, just normal developing moves, which are necessary if I am going to lead a devastating attack. We get pawn to a6. I guess bishop simply back. Keeps an eye on that d7 pawn, also keeps an eye on the knight in case it ever gets any funny ideas. Alright, we get knight to f6, probably with the intent to castle, so even more reason for us to complete our development. Question is, do I go bishop to e3, which sort of invites knight to g4, or bishop to f4, which invites ideas like g5, g4, and I don't really like either of those scenarios. Let's play pawn to h3, stopping that idea, although it sort of still does invite g5, g4 with the pawn break idea. I'm not as afraid of that, because you can always, for example, move the knight out of the way, and then maybe there's like h4 moving right past the pawn. The other thing is the opponent has now a minute left on their clock, which is not ideal when you need to very carefully finesse a kingside attack. Ooh, queen d7, that is not a move that I'm happy to see. I mean, it's a good move for my opponent. They're probably looking for long castles. An opposite side castle when you're trying to lead an attack is probably exactly what you're supposed to do. But I'm not totally sure what I'm supposed to do against that. I'm gonna go ahead and just play bishop to f4. We're sort of looking at c7, but there's also the idea of dropping the bishop back into the pocket and serving as a defensive piece on the king side. I didn't mention this already, but the time control is 3-2, so we get 3 minutes base time, 2 seconds added for every move that we make. Let's go ahead and start playing some offense. We'll take the knight. I'm gonna assume they're gonna take with the bishop. Ooh, they take with the pawn. Whoa, they've got a good head on their shoulders. Okay, because the idea there was going to be like queen e2, d4 looking for a6, but the bishop just sits on b7 and guards everything. So there's no such idea. All right, I guess we just continue developing normally queen to d2. Maybe in some future there's like this idea, but now we get pushed back. g4 is incoming. This is going to be a tough one. Yeah, g4. This doesn't work because the queen just guards, so we do have to move the knight out of the way. Let's go knight to e5. Might as well pretend we're going to play aggressively, even though this doesn't actually do anything. We get pawn takes, g3. I just need to make sure the opponent doesn't get any more checks. But even just by bringing the rook onto the open file, you can even threaten to sacrifice. Rook does shuffle over. I'm going to shuffle the king over as well. This is now a very serious concern. 20 seconds left for the opponent though. I'm gonna play knight to f3, which just blocks the check. Knight to g4. I mean, they can still play a check, that's the issue. What do we do here? King back over, because now the rook can't play check. And we're both in a time scramble now. 30 seconds for me, and some 20 odd seconds for the opponent. Okay, I think here I can take. Go ahead and pre-move the recapture with the queen. And I don't think the opponent can get a final third check on the king if they do take on g3. Okay, they don't. I'll go ahead and take back. I probably shouldn't be opening up the position, but oh, and that definitely doesn't work. Oh, that doesn't work either. Oh goodness. Go king to f1. What an ugly move. Holy smokes. 7 seconds left for the opponent. Tough position. That might be crushing though. We might have to sack a knight. Yeah, we'll take. Queen comes in. This is not good. Let's go here. Oh, and they do find that pin on the queen. Yeah, this might be just about over. No time on the clock as well. We'll go ahead and pre-move that. Whoa, they didn't take. What happened there? Oh, we get mated on h1. With that, we lose game number 1. Super good game by the opponent. I gotta say GG's in chat. They offer a rematch. I'll go ahead and take them up on it. All right, game number 2, we get the black pieces this time. We're gonna go with a similar strategy, possibly foolhardy. We get knight to b5, looking to sack on c7. By all means, I invite free pieces, which I know is ridiculous for me to say after having lost the first game, but I just think I didn't string together all the ideas as best as I could. Let's play knight to f6 with ideas of castling. Knight to f3, we'll go ahead and continue developing. Again, I don't see any attacking ideas quite yet, so I think we're quite comfortable in this position. We get bishop to b5, let's boot the bishop before it becomes an issue. Nice, we'll go ahead and take back. Pawn to c3 looks for d4 without allowing bishop to b4 check. I'm gonna play a little bit of a sneaky move, pawn to h5. We'll go to move the bishop back, and the idea is to get an attack on that h2 pawn should the opponent castle, which you'd imagine is a prevalent idea. We get queen to c2. I'm not exactly sure what that's preparing. Oh, e4 pawn push. Okay. Let's go ahead and play knight to g4. There's the idea of sacrificing if we do get pawn to h3. And if we get e5, I guess I could actually sacrifice. I'm not sure if it works out in my favor, but I think it's a possibility. Okay, we'll definitely sack on f2. We'll either get a check or we'll just get the queen. All right, we'll take the queen, bishop to g3, and it'd be very nice if we could get it with a check as well. The game is not over, unfortunately. You do have to be extremely careful in these variants, because if you look at it, I really only need 2 more checks before I lose. And yes, we are winning the queen, but it's always best to be on guard in these things. All right, we get pawn to e5, which means we grab the queen with a check, which is huge. We'll play pawn to c5. Now we just need to open up the center. If we can manage that, we can get all the checks in the world just by moving the queen into the position, which is really interesting because now something like a queen by herself is in fact a checkmating threat. We get pawn takes back. Let's move the queen over. Keeping an eye on d4 in case that knight ever moves, we can give check. And also now looking at b2. Whoa, the opponent just shuffles the rook over, which means I could take. They might sacrifice to get another check, but I can take back. And I think I'm significantly better there, so I'm gonna go ahead and take on b2. They do get that check. We'll go ahead and take back. Problem is now I don't see how you stop rook c2 with 2 extra check ideas incoming. Right, we get rook to f1. Let's bring the rook into play. I mean, this knight isn't going to check me anytime soon. I don't think the rook can either. I have this impending sacrifice. Okay, that's check number 1, and then whatever the opponent plays, we get a second check, guaranteed. Nice. And with that, we win our second game, which is our first victory. The opponent offers a rematch. Okay, I'll give them a third one just as a tiebreaker between us, but then after this, I'll play a new opponent. Let's go ahead and start with e3 this time. A little bit more conservative, a little bit more reserved. Just because those bishop c5 taking ideas are absolutely horrendous to play against. Let's continue with knight to f3. I'm going to let the opponent know that this will be the last game. All right, we get knight to c6, probably with this sacrificing idea. I'm in the business of taking my opponent's pieces, so I'm gonna go ahead and play knight to c3 and permit that incoming idea with the idea of bishop to e2, grabbing the free piece, and then basically holding on to dear life. Oh, the opponent says, thank you so much, dude. It's so cool to see you guys out in the wild. It's actually insane. We get knight to b4. Obviously, the idea was always to permit the check. So let's play bishop to d3. If we do get this check, we get a little free battery. Oh my goodness. I've given them a check with a piece. Blind as a bat. All right, I do still have hope, but holy smokes, being down a check is not ideal. You get pawn to b5. Now, why can't I just take that? I have no idea, but I am going to capture. I could give a check, but I'd lose another piece. Beggars cannot be choosers. Check. We've got to get at least something off on the opponent. The queen takes back. I definitely don't want to castle because there's ideas of getting that battery, and that's probably losing on the spot. So let's play d4 with the idea of knight to e5. And the problem is my position is now super cramped as well. Bishop comes into play, looking for that free check on d2. Do I give it to my opponent? Yeah, I don't think I can afford it. Even though I don't want to, I'm going to castle into this sort of battery idea and just kind of hope that g3 or something along those lines is enough to hold on to the position. Although h5, h4, it's probably not great, but it's better than losing on the spot to a sacrifice. You get bishop to a6. Let's go ahead and push d3. Opponent probably wants to castle long again, but it's a little bit different this time. The position is a little bit more open. So I've got a little more confidence that we can actually make something of that. Okay, we get knight to e7. Let's go ahead and start trading off their developed pieces for my completely undeveloped pieces. Bishop to d6, they could sacrifice for another check. Do I have to allow that? Absolutely not. I don't think I would like to. G3 though, bishop takes. Ooh, not a great position. Yeah, but I have no choice because otherwise they can play check, I take, and then they sacrifice the queen. So unfortunately, I think G3 it is. Okay, bishop does take. Somehow I'm not super threatened by this. I feel like the material is possibly the least of my concerns in this position. So let's go with... Yeah, let's go with bishop c3. I actually want to give them the material because the pressure on my position of all these weakened squares is probably much worse than losing the exchange. So we'll go ahead and take back. And at least now we have a fighting chance. I mean, we're down an entire rook worth of material, but we have the same number of checks on our king as the opponent. We get knight to f5. Doesn't threaten anything new that I can see. Let's go ahead and push d5, anything to open up the opponent's position. I think they might be looking for a sacrifice of some kind. I just don't think, is it substantiated? I take, they take, I move my king over, they can get that, but there's no checks. So I think it's fine. I'm very hesitant to release that public statement, but I think it's okay. We just move the king over and I don't think there's any checks. Now, obviously, our king is, getting stripped of his entire defense, but again, I don't think there's any checks, and that's pretty much our main concern. Whoa, king castles? Wait a minute, that can't be right. Queen here? We are super low on time. We have 20 seconds left, but I think it's enough to put some pressure on this position and get away with some sneaky checks. Again, me and the opponent both have 2 checks left on the king, so we have 1 to spare and 1 to cry about, but we're equal at the moment. I think we might be okay. I think this might be devastating. Let me rephrase, I hope. No, but I do think there's attacking ideas there. We'll see what the opponent comes up with. The opponent says, chuckles, I'm in danger. That's so funny. I'm gonna say, I hope so. All right, we get pawn to f6. Let's go ahead and take, pre-move the recapture. I think they're actually totally fine, but now we do have 2 pieces. Whoa, I was gonna say for the rook, 10 seconds left, but we do have this check. And mate. With that, we actually win game number 3. We now have 2 victories under our belt. GG's to the opponent. GG's and thanks for playing. I say thank you, have a good one. Dude, you guys as my subscribers are genuinely the best. I hope you're watching this video right now. If you are, leave me a comment down below and also message me on chess.com your username so I know it's actually you, and I'd be happy to pin whatever your comment is. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to see you guys out here. Wish I could sub twice. I appreciate that. All right, let's go ahead and move on to game number 4. We have 2 victories under our belt at the moment, waiting to get paired. We might get paired with the same opponent, which I actually wouldn't be totally angry about. But we'll see. Because I do have my parameters set to playing against people that are higher rated than I am, which this viewer, hi if you're watching, is. So we'll see. All right, we do get another game against a very similarly rated opponent. I think I explained this now in every single video, basically. But again, for the new viewers, I do feel the need to reiterate that as far as setting rating parameters goes, chess.com doesn't let you set 0 up to infinity. It has to be -50 relative to your own rating up to infinity. So I do occasionally get paired with an opponent that is very similarly rated, but not necessarily higher rated. But again, I think that's totally okay because the purpose is to make sure that we don't get anybody who's brand new who will like randomly resign. But we do get 2 checks. I'm ready to sacrifice this bishop. Take my piece. Take my piece. Oh, no way. We actually did get the resignation. All right. Now with that, we do get our 3rd victory on the board. To be honest, I am partial to this variant. It was one of the first variants that I truly actively liked very much. Sort of like my obsession with Cross Derby recently. If you haven't played that, go check it out. So let's go ahead and play a bonus game. All right, bonus game. Oh, against the same opponent. Let's see if we can get the same sneaky check with the bishop. They may not notice. Bishop takes f7, queen to f3, sack the queen for the victory. All right, that's like the equivalent of scholar's mate in this variant, but we get e6. So the opponent is unfortunately wiser to our idea. Wise to our idea, I misspoke. We get pawn to h6. I don't think we should castle. Let's play knight to c3. Maybe like d4. We get knight to f6. We're not playing the most active game in the world, but we're also sort of waiting for them to develop. I would love to see d5 at some point. Maybe I can get this idea, but now there's b5 available. Knight back to e7. I'm not sure what this opponent is cooking up, but it sure looks interesting. I'm gonna play e4. If they're gonna give me the center space, then who am I to turn that wonderful gift down? I'm gonna go for like e5, d5. There's gotta be one of those pushes at some point, I'd imagine. Okay, what What are we doing here? And we messed up over here. No, I'm kidding. It's a very interesting pawn structure. They're obviously defending against any sort of possible checking ideas, both along the actual diagonals and covering the squares. For example, this bishop could have moved to deliver checks. We get pawn to c6. They have made it their personal life mission not to let me get another check off on their king ever again, as you can tell by their coconut sort of strategy. But we're going to play e5, and we might get something better than check. That's my hope. We could get Smothers mate here, which would be absolutely beautiful. Okay, first of all, we're definitely getting a check. That's for certain. But second of all, maybe we'll grab a queen on the way. That would be amazing. But the opponent might see that like knight to f5, for example, covers that square. Whoa, knight to g6. I mean, does cover that square with the bishop, but looks a little bit less comfortable. Let's go and play check. We get one check on the opponent. We're going to take back with the pawn. Opponent castles out of the way. We should probably follow suit. But then like, I don't know. Yeah, it looks okay, I think. We'll castle out of the way as well. Question is, I'm not totally sure how we follow up this attack. It feels like I need to reroute a lot of my pieces to get a kingside attack, whereas black doesn't really need to. They have f5, knight to f4 ideas, queen d8, queen to h5. And I mean, that includes rerouting pieces as well, but somehow it feels more intuitive for their position. But I may just be overthinking it. Okay, we get pawn to b5. That shouldn't be an issue. Let's play pawn to c3. I was thinking about trading since I have an extra check on the opponent, but I think it's more important to get an attack going. So we'll go for like bishop to c2, maybe knight to e5 to threaten that knight, try to clear that diagonal for potential checks. In the perfect world, I get like bishop c2, queen d3, boom, mate. But unfortunately, mate is very rare in this variant because usually by the time you get to checkmate, there's been at least 3 checks, if not many more. We get knight back. I mean, might as well take the chance and reroute the bishop. I think they might be going for the pawn, which I don't have a problem with them doing because I just have knight to e5. And if they do take the pawn, then there's just a lot of weaknesses on the king side. I'm a little bit trigger happy. I'm ready to sack the queen for the final check, just for the style points. Oh, and we have one spectator. Hi, Ender Owl, in case you are watching on YouTube. Thanks for spectating my games. Ooh, knight to c4, that's exactly the idea that we're going for. Knight to e5 is the follow-up. By all means, that is a free pawn for my opponent, because bishop to h7 is the second check. Nice, and if they take back, queen sack to the knight gives the third and final check. Is it a queen sack if you don't actually lose the queen? If it wins you the game immediately? I guess not. I guess it would be more of a species of checkmate. But the opponent actually isn't even thinking about that now. Yeah, I think they thought about it and then realized what was going to happen and chose a much more annoying move for me to deal with. What do we play here? Queen g4, more pressure on the knight. Pretend like I'm like I have any interest in getting a free pawn, when really my interests lie in sacrificing the bishop and sacking the queen as well. I mean, honestly, depending on what they play, I might even sack on h6 just to open up the king's position and get my final checks with the queen. Opponent now with 34 seconds, 32, 31. We'll see what sort of defense they come up with. Whoa, queen to h4 is super aggressive. Question is, does it work? And I think it does. Wait a second, what do I do here? Because there's some terrible threats. Oh, the bishop is blocked off. We might be totally fine. Wow, I'm not really sure what I'm meant to play here. I think I have to take. Yeah, we're gonna go and take the queen. Knight takes, threatening a check. If I move out of the way, there's even a knight sack. So I guess f3 is called for. If they develop the pawn, I move the king out of the way. Okay, they move the knight back, so that's not particularly threatening. Let's go ahead and take, because I can see that knight being a very big headache for me in the near future. We'll develop the bishop. And as long as the king stays on a dark square and away from any open files, we should be totally fine. In fact, we are going to be the ones who try to open up a file here in just a second. I'm going to threaten the bishop. Bishop does move out of the way. Free pawn. Pawn to b4 to follow. Cements the entire position. Okay, they're going for the open file, so we're going to go and double up the rooks. They also have 17 seconds, so way less time than we do to figure out what their strategy is. It is opposite colored bishop. This might even be a theoretical draw. Rook c7 with the idea of looking for the passed pawn. Whoa, rook to f5 blunders check number 1, and certainly check number 2 is forced. Nice, we don't get a queen sacrifice, but we do get a nice rook sacrifice to win our 4th game. Well, our 5th game, but that is our 4th victory. We'll go ahead and call it there. If you guys did enjoy this video, please consider liking and subscribing. Let me know down below what other variants I should play, and I will see you. Oh, by the way, I really am serious when I say let me know down below what other variants I should play, because I'll go back through most of the variants that we did in the Master Series, but I'm also interested in trying new variants, and I may also skip 1 or 2 that I don't have any particular interest in playing again. But yeah, with that, I will see you guys in the next one.